welcome to the Varside podcast. I'm Andy, and today we are joined by Sarah. How are you doing, Sarah?
Hey, not too bad, thank you, Andy.
Good, good. So you said before we started recording, you've now got a dog and you're busy with your dog. What's going on there?
Yeah, I picked my 8-week-old Labrador up on Saturday morning, and like I always knew it'd be hard work, but I mean it's hard work like you've never imagined if you haven't got a dog. By the way, so she can't be left alone for a moment at the moment, which is absolutely shattering.
So would you say you're tired, Sarah? Really tired?
Oh, unbelievably so, yeah.
So would you say that tiredness is making you lose track of sort of units of time, measuring time and quantifying time?
I've had a few days off so before I even got the dog, and then now obviously being off trying to look after the dog. Yeah, but I sort of I'm quite lucky in a sense. It sort of stopped me getting so into the football last night because she was sitting on my lap when we scored, and so I had to silent scream. My diaphragm went into cramp because it was just like, what the hell are you doing? You've never silent screamed in your life. But it also meant I just couldn't really get into the game. So I was invested as an England fan, but I wasn't invested over the 120 minutes necessarily. I got invested on the penalties because how couldn't you when it's kind of on a knife edge like that? You know it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
I was just wondering about the whole 8-week year thing that you had going on.
Yeah, I went to the gym today without my shoes.
Did you? I think that's just tiredness. That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering how tired you are.
And had no shoes. I had to do the session in my lifters, which wasn't great, but yeah, it was doable.
Anyway, we're joined by Steve. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad at all. Thanks.
Good. So, how are we all after that wonderful weekend?
Well, I said to you guys in the group chat, didn't I? It's semi-final. I got really excited. We made it to the final. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be great!" And then all of a sudden, I just felt sad straight away. And basically because I've never really knowingly have one of my sports teams that I live and breathe win anything, which is really sad. I don't really remember the Carling Cup winning. Oh God, I'm going to forget the year because my brain hurts. I don't really remember that one where we beat Chelsea, to be honest. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to be wrong.
That's all right. We can all be wrong together.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what it feels like to win like that. So
it's been such a while.
Sort of feel normal.
I'm old enough to remember the 81 Cup final, and that just seems like such a long time ago. I can't really remember what it was like.
I thought you were going to say 66.
I thought that was what was coming out as well. Actually.
Yeah, but I started it with 80, not 60. I mean, it's quite different, isn't it?
No, but you went.
You're just being rude now. You're just being.
No, you went. I'm old enough to remember, and I thought, okay. I mean, because I'm old enough to remember 81 as well. You see.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how much older are you than me that you can remember? Oh no, okay, you didn't go there. You was 81. You're talking about.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I do remember things earlier than 81, of course, but not Spurs related as such. Not in terms of trophies. So, but it was a tough night last night. But it was strange actually. The whole tournament for me was a bit weird. I don't know why. I just felt, although we were actually progressing through the tournament, through the group stages and winning some knockout games, at no point did I really get overly excited about it. And I think it was the same last night. I suppose I wasn't very kind of excited by the way we were playing football, but I was actually really appreciative of the fact that we'd sorted out our defence. So as a defensive team, we'd become really good. But as an attacking team, we just seemed to lose so much of what we had in the qualifying rounds or qualifying games.
The qualifying games are not really, I'd say they're not a measure, but a lot of the teams that we play, not really up to the level that you're going to play in in finals. And ultimately, I think the objective when you get to a final is to progress and get to the final of the tournament. You know what I mean? So I think Southgate has kind of said, okay, we've got talented players, we had talented forwards or whatever, but it was a case of saying, right, well, we won't lose, we won't concede any goals, and if we don't concede any goals, we will score goals, and therefore that should be enough, to get out of the group firstly, and then go game by game, and see how we get on. So I enjoyed the tournament. I totally got into it. I very much invested in it, and with every victory, I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed the game last night. I didn't enjoy the fact that we were constantly on the back foot and that we didn't attack enough. I didn't agree, for example, with a lot of Southgate's decisions, but I still enjoyed the fact that as a country and as a nation, we managed to get to a final that we hadn't achieved for quite a while. It got us on the edge of our seat initially, and I thought at one point we really had a good chance of winning. And I think if we can experience that more often, I'd be more than happy. If we can start getting to finals on a lot more regular basis. I think if we get to finals on a lot more regular basis, then we'll be a serious contender to win something.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. In fact, today, even though I said I didn't enjoy it, I agree with you. The fact that we've got the that feeling now that there is something happening with England. There's a plan. There's a process going on. Whether we totally agree with the tactics, and that resulted in me joining the England Supporters Club today. So I'm quite keen to get to some England games. But we'll see.
You have to travel all over the world if you want to get tickets to
That's right.
to the finals and stuff like that.
That might be an issue.
And even then, that's not a guarantee, especially how things were this year. But
if I could get to the odd England game, I don't mind. But there we go. So did we all feel that the way that because as I just said, the way that we played during this tournament was, I don't know, the way that you should play in a tournament, or should we have been a bit more, because everybody was gunning for Grealish to get on the pitch and do more, or maybe play Sancho and Foden a bit more, but Southgate does seem a bit risk averse. So what would your preferences be?
Well, I think risk averse seems to be basically what this podcast seemed to be about all year because of Jose Mourinho and now Southgate.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think tournament football, one mistake and you're out. I think by default, unless you're brimming with attacking talent, which we sort of are. But I think we lack depth in midfield. So I think whilst we've got very, very talented forwards, I'm not sure our depth in midfield to then add something to go and support that is great. And, I was really surprised we went 2 defensive players in Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. But I'm also not sure that you could put a Mount in there or a Grealish in there that, the players that are wanting minutes on a pitch and expect it to be the same way. I think we'd get cut open too much. I think they did an amazing job. And I just sort of think, I don't know what we could have done different. Sterling scored scoring record, regardless of whether he's maybe a bit wasteful, meant he was pretty much undroppable. And I sort of look at it and think if I need to decline a phone call, sorry. If it wasn't, I don't know if you heard that.
No.
Sorry, someone was calling me. If Harry Kane wasn't Harry Kane, would he have had so many minutes on a pitch? I mean,
I agree.
I'm not saying he was terrible, but I think he was, by his standards, below par. But I think he's also underrated by the wider community in terms of, anybody with a football brain knows that, for example, he sort of dragged 2 Italian players with him as he was ghosting into the box for Shaw's goal last night, for example. They had their eye on him, not on the left back. And
Di Lorenzo certainly took his eye off Shaw, didn't he?
Yeah, certainly 9 times out of 10, the left back misses that, right? So as a defensive player, that's sort of where you've got to go. But I was surprised by his running stats, actually. I don't know if you've seen them today.
No.
So I'm going to say Jorginho was like 86 kilometres during the competition, highest running player. Then below that was Kelvin Phillips at 84 kilometres. And then the next most distance covered was Harry Kane with 70 something.
Wow.
So I think, he does a lot more work than he gets credit for, because he's actually happy doing the dog work, whereas someone like Ronaldo will literally stand there and engage.
That is true.
I think we don't see the stuff that, we only see what the TV shows us. So we'll see what's in periphery of where the ball is, really, rather than the work that might go off the ball away, that the camera isn't showing us. So, I think the thing about Kane, or for me, and I've been really frustrated with a lot of the pundits' criticism or assessment of Kane, that he's been off form, or yesterday, for example, he looked a bit leggy, was the overall assessment. But we didn't, in the semi-final, I think, and the quarterfinals, we started to get the ball into him a lot more. Yeah. We got the ball into him, we focused into him, and we managed to make that happen. And I don't know for whatever reason, but we didn't manage to make that happen at all yesterday. Not after when they made changes. So as far as I'm concerned, Italy, we were dominating Italy at the beginning. Excuse me, got the goal, which Kane played a massive part in.
Yeah.
And then Jorginho, I don't know if you remember, but Jorginho went down injured. Yep. And when he went down injured, I said to my wife that this is a tactical injury.
Yeah, I said the same.
he did have a knock, but it was a tactical injury. And you noticed that, I don't know who it was, but went over. A couple of the players went over to Mancini, and then after that, they looked less less in trouble in terms of how they dealt with us. So he took that opportunity to adjust the setup. Excuse me.
I think part of the problem was that Kane was doing that trick where he was dropping deep, very deep, to pick the ball up and spraying passes out. And Bonucci and Chiellini didn't want to go all that way. So I think it's not what I saw, but I heard that what Mancini did was he dropped Verratti like 10 yards back a bit more, so that he could actually deal with that particular issue. I don't know whether that was true or not, but certainly, as you say, things did change. And our wing backs weren't getting forward as much because Trippier was getting loads of space, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought Kane had a pretty good tournament in places, but I do agree with you, Sarah, that if it wasn't Harry Kane, would we have seen maybe Calvert-Lewin come on for a bit more, or someone else? Because there were times when I thought, why are we bothering with Harry? He's just getting marked out of the game. Put someone else on that they're less familiar with, and maybe just see what they can do. Maybe they can be a bit more physical. I don't know.
I just think the times when he looked most dangerous is when we had the most pace around him, because they're backing off of Harry because they're scared of the pace in behind, and when we sort of lose that threat, and I do like Mason Mount a lot, but I actually maybe think going with Saka to start with, someone who's going to immediately start stretching the game, because that's when we put them on the back foot. Harry came deep, turned, and you just had Sterling going down the middle. You had, I think it was Mount going down the right hand side, but he's not massively quick.
No.
But it was that time we got them turned, and they were like, God, because they're like 70 years old or something, aren't they?
They are combined.
They're centre back. So, we should have been trying to turn them more often, and I don't think we did it enough. But, give them credit. They're magnificent defenders, and,